We're continuing to very closely look at the December 6th Georgia runoff between incumbent Democratic Senator Raphael Warnock and challenging Republican candidate Herschel Walker. Now, we've already talked about how Herschel Walker has no business being senator from Georgia. I'm going to give you yet another example of that a little bit later on in the show. But one of the interesting questions has been, is Donald Trump going to show up to try to help Herschel Walker? Barack Obama is showing up to try to help Raphael Warnock. That we know, and he will be campaigning with him. But Donald Trump is apparently so toxic at this point in time that Republicans are trying to keep him as far away from Georgia and as far away from Herschel Walker as possible. New York Times reports Trump plans limited role in Georgia Senate runoff. The former president, who held two big rallies before the state's two runoff elections 2 years ago, both of which Democrats won, will steer clear of Georgia before next week's Senate election. And when you look at why, you very quickly understand it. Michael Bender writes for the New York Times, Donald Trump will not cross the Florida state line to campaign with Herschel Walker during the final week of the Georgia Senate runoff election, after both camps decided the former president's appearance carried more political risks than rewards, campaign officials for the two Republicans said Monday. Do we believe that Trump was sitting there going, you know what, it's true. I've become such a ticking time bomb and a hothead and liability that it's probably best that I not go? Probably not. It's probably the people around Trump who got together with those running Walker's campaign and said, we're going to try to keep him away. Trump is planning a call with supporters and will continue sending online fundraising pleas for Walker. Now, those online fundraising pleas default to 90% of the money actually going to Trump. And here is sort of the key line of the article. The decision to keep Trump out of the spotlight was a response largely to the former president's political style and image, which can energize his core supporters, but also motivate Democratic voters and turn off significant segments of moderate Republicans. One other really interesting element of this, in Georgia, that political math has become a net deficit for Trump. That's a critical line. Who opened his 2024 presidential campaign 2 weeks ago? In 2020, he was the first Republican presidential candidate to lose the state in 28 years. Earlier this year, his hand-picked primary challengers, Governor Brian Kemp and Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger, were both trounced. This is more interesting in terms of 2024. Now, I don't want to diminish the importance of getting that 51st Senate seat in Georgia. The data is looking pretty good for Raphael Warnock. We never count our chickens before they hatch. We never, you use whatever metaphor you want. That is an election we have to fight for. We're going to be covering it, including up to the live results on December 6th. But there's another component to this, which is, what is Trump's path to victory in 2024? And what I mean by that is, if you start with the 2020 map and you say what was marginal here, you certainly look at Georgia. Now, the problem with that math is flipping Georgia alone from 2020 won't give Trump the presidency. So you need Georgia and something else, or you got to flip Pennsylvania. Georgia's increasingly looking bad for Trump. And part of that signal is exactly what's happening in Georgia right now. So when we think about, can Trump win? And listen, I was one of the guys that a week before the 2016 election said, I think Hillary's got it in the bag, and I was wrong. So I am not going to fall for this again, particularly 2 years early, and say, oh, Trump has no path to victory in 2024. The difference is we've seen what a Trump map looks like. And Georgia is an important part of that map. Georgia's an important signal when we think about 2024. And Georgia's looking so bad for Trump that he's being kept away when it comes to Herschel Walker. That's why it's so critically important right now. Let me know what you see as Trump's map and path to victory there. And maybe we'll even we're not going to do maps between now and November of 2024, but maybe we'll do one sample map to sort of look at what it could be. Send me your thoughts. Make sure that you are subscribed on YouTube. Make sure that you are following us on Facebook at facebook.com/David Pakman Show. Much new content coming. The white paper on how to talk politics without ruining relationships is now available at davidpakman.com/guide. 1,000 people have already downloaded this. I am stunned. We were thinking, well, if 250 people download this thing, it's probably a good start. 1,000 people have already downloaded this guide. It is free at davidpakman.com/guide. One of our sponsors is Monk Pack, making amazing granola bars and the nut and seed bars that are chewy, sweet, and delicious, but I especially love them because each bar has only 1 gram of sugar, 2 to 3 net carbs, and about 150 calories. Perfect if you do keto or low carb, or like me, you're just trying to stay conscious about sugar intake. You get the satisfying, crunchy, salty, sweet experience you were looking for without the sugar. Monk Pack comes in flavors like sea salt dark chocolate, caramel sea salt. They launched 2 new flavors, which are great, peanut butter cocoa chip and dark chocolate cocoa. I keep Monk Pack granola bars and nut and seed bars in the pantry at all times. They're great on the go, for a quick snack while you're working. If you don't love them as much as I and our team do, Monk Pack will refund all of your money or exchange the product, whichever you prefer. Go to monkpack.com and you'll get 20% off your first order with the code PAKMAN at checkout. The link is down below.